Good afternoon and welcome back to another episode of From Barrel to Bottle. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. As opposed to a tasting review, we're going to be reviewing a product that has just been released onto the market, discussing the product itself, but also the secondary investment market and the potential that it has within this product. Now, before we get going, I wanted to start by saying we don't take ourselves too seriously here at the Whiskey Baron. Whiskey is really to be enjoyed. It's all about having fun, learning something new, and getting involved. So don't take what we say too seriously. But with that being said, it is important for me to sort of warn some individuals and investors, or punters really, as to investing within whiskey. Because whilst it can be a fantastic investment, I feel that there is an awful lot of how could I put it? There's an awful lot of misinformation being put around, and people are making misguided decisions based on what the market seems to be doing, but it's not actually doing it. So with all that being said, I would like to introduce to you what will become the very controversial Macallan Folio 5. Now, I'm sure all of you have heard about this. It was released via a ballot in January 2020. It's a beautiful product. Can we just start by saying that? It is a wonderful product. Macallan have done exceptionally well. Obviously, this is the fifth in line of their archival series. The archival series looks at old stories and really the marketing that took place to build Macallan up during the 70s, 80s and 90s. They did a fantastic job of marketing, and so they're sort of drawing on old stories. This one is the archival series, and it looks at the Luggy bonnet. A story essentially of how somebody missed out on a wonderful dram of whiskey purely because he was wearing one of these hats out on the day of the shoot. After the shoot was finished, he had his ears covered by these little, what would you call them, ear muffs, I suppose. And when the whiskey was being offered around, he didn't hear it. So he missed out on this wonderful whiskey. As a result, it says here, keep this knot firmly tied. So it's all about making sure that you're able to get in and enjoy bottles of whiskey. It comes in quite a display case. Again, as with all lovely Macallans, they're bloody difficult to get into. So you'll have to excuse me there. Really, really wonderful display, as you can see here. So it comes with a booklet. Again, it sort of looks into all of the different stories and sort of the marketing that went on. I haven't opened mine here, but I have had a look inside of one of the booklets. They are exceptionally well done. The packaging, as you can see, I mean, it is just second to none. Really lovely stuff. Beautiful bottle, natural colour as always with Macallan. And I mean, look at that colour. 43% ABV, 700ml bottles. I mean, it's a thing of beauty. It really is a collector's item, more of a piece of art than anything. It's like I say, the fifth in line of their archival series. So, as a lot of you will know, the secondary investment market, particularly for Macallan, is booming. You could pick this up, or similar folios up, I should say, a few years ago, for a couple of £100. They RRP, this one RRP'd for £260 plus postage. But the secondary investment market has been going crazy over these things. And so we really want to touch on this and sort of have a little look behind all the, smoke and mirrors, I suppose, to tell you what is really going on. So like I say, this was released in January this year, so only a couple of weeks ago now. The ballot was open, so it was like a lottery. You entered and you had the opportunity of winning the chance to buy a bottle. So I was lucky enough, supposedly one of the lucky ones, one of many lucky ones, as we'll go on to in a moment, to win this bottle. I've collected a couple of the other folios. I am looking at collecting them. So for me, it is sort of quite an interesting piece and another addition to my collection. But the ballot closed on the 22nd of January. And I was informed, as most people who have won this, that I had got it on the 23rd of January. So I paid my £260. I think it was £260 plus a little bit of postage. And was very happy. I bumped into an awful lot of people on the day of. I was up in town who had also won. And there was a big hype over, oh my gosh, I've won this. Some people saying things like, I'm going on holiday. And immediately with these sorts of limited edition release Macallans, it's almost as if there is never any intention of drinking it. Like I say, look, I'm collecting these. I'm hoping that at some point down the line, I'll be able to crack them open one at a time and enjoy them. But let's face it, £260 on a bottle of whiskey is no small fee. So it's not the sort of thing I'm just going to open on a Monday night. It is really for a special occasion. But most people are buying these and have no intention of drinking them at all. They've seen how the investment market has been going for the folios 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so they're jumping on the bandwagon and trying to get involved. Now, just to give you a little bit of information, because people seem to think that this is worth £800 to £900, which, I mean, I'm sorry for laughing, but if you honestly think that, you are not an investor. You are not somebody who knows anything about the market. You are a punter, you are misinformed, and I urge you to get out of this investment now for whatever you can get up to £260. Obviously, I wouldn't advise you taking a loss at this point, but if you have bought this purely to invest in it, take whatever money you can get and run. It is not worth £800 or £900. Why do people think it's worth £800 or £900? Well, Whiskey Hammer had 8 of these for sale, and the auction closed. When did it close? The 26th of January. Sorry, I've got my notes here. I've just got a few bits and pieces I want to talk through. The auction closed on the 26th of January. 8 bottles, all of them selling for £820 to £920. I'm sure you're thinking, well, Jake, it is worth £800, £900 then. Well, no, it's not actually, because the auction runs for 10 days, as most online auctions do. Whiskey Hammer auctions, they run for 10 days, which means that you would have had to have your bottle in 2 weeks prior to the beginning of the auction, because they have to have the bottle in to take a picture of the bottle so it goes through their auction. Which means that if you were to have your bottle of Folio 5 in Whiskey Hammer's January auction, you would have had to submit it by the 3rd of January. Now, like I say, the ballot for this closed on the 22nd of January. So whoever was submitting these 8 bottles into the auction must have worked for Macallan, Edrington, Suntory. They're not the average punters. They're not me. They're not you. Okay? They are not people who have access to this through retail. They are people who have got the product prior to the release, probably prior to the ballot even being announced, and have put it through an auction, because obviously if you've got a Macallan and you can give it to somebody, put it up in auction before the release has even happened, of course you're going to make money. There is no arguments about that. However, what we're going to see over the next few months is these things flipping around, and ultimately I predict that in a few months you will be making a loss. But we'll come on to that in a moment. It is a lovely bottle. Sorry, I keep looking at it. I've only had it out once before, and it's a beautiful piece of, it's beautiful for a collection. I mean, God, I'm really looking forward to having it up onto my shelf. Like I say, I've got the Folio 4. I've also got the Folio 2. I'm looking to get the 1 and 3. They are slightly harder to come by. But what I think has happened here is Macallan have done something wonderful. And actually almost like a middle finger up at all of you flippers, because they've had their workers get the pre-release, they've put it up onto the auction, they've driven the price up, and then they've released it. Now, everyone and their dog has gone in to try and win one of these, and out of everyone that I know that went in for the ballot, I would say 1 in 3 people, maybe even 1 in 2, have got it. We did reach out to Macallan to ask if they would give us any information about this release, the sort of stock that was put in it, how many bottles released. No information provided. They're absolutely not willing to provide anything other than what is online, which is fairly basic. It really is all about the marketing. It's all about the brand, and fair play to them. I have had a few murmurs that there are in and around 20,000 bottles of this available. Now, obviously, this is not confirmed. I'm not saying that is for sure, but a few murmurs from some fairly reliable people within the industry that there are in and around 20,000 bottles of this available, which means there are significantly more of this than the Folio 1. So what we've seen is the Folio 1, Folio 2, Folio 3 released, building interest around the secondary auction market, and particularly, like I say, around Macallan as a brand. What we then see is everyone pile in, people who know nothing about whiskey, spending £260 on a bottle, which, as I say, is a lot of money, but there's no intention of drinking it. You are purely looking to make money. And I think, like I say, It's not been confirmed, so it is just an opinion. But I personally feel that Macallan have sort of seen the trends that have gone on and decided, right, okay, Folio 4 went really, really well. Folio 5, let's do a mass release. 20,000 bottles, everyone's got one, and so the secondary market is going to be flooded. And actually what will happen in a few months' time, and I give it 3 months at most, is you will be losing money on this. They will be going for less than £200, or in and around the £200 marker. Now, why do I think this? Well, it's happened before. So let's have a little look at the Macallan Easter Elkies 2018, a bottle I recently reviewed. I cracked it open. It sold in October 2018. It was RRP of £750, £6 postage, so £756 all in. And at the end of October, it was selling for between £1,700 and £2,000 a bottle. Happy days. If you can make 2 to 3 times your investment, well, it is exactly that. It is a fantastic investment within a month. However, now what we're seeing is bottles of the Macallan Easter Elkies 2018 being sold at auction for less than it was RRP'd at. Most recently, £720. A lot of them, bids are only reaching £650, £680, and not reaching the reserves that people are looking for, because they've bought these bottles, again, no intention of drinking them, and just flipping them on. Now, I'll be completely honest. I bought 3 bottles of the Macallan Easter Elkies 2018. I had myself and a lot of friends enter the ballot for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to get more than 1 bottle. I wanted to be able to drink one, I wanted to be able to sell one, and I wanted to be able to save one. Now, I sold one the day I bought it for £1,500, twice the worth of it. I sold it to somebody who was completely ill-informed and, you know, just really keen to get their hands on it. They actually offered me the money. I wasn't looking for £1,500. They made the offer to me, and of course I'm going to accept it. They were keen. They seemed like they knew, well, that they were adamant that they knew what they were doing. And so it paid for me to allow me to open one, which is exactly what I wanted to do. So I sold that off straight away. I still have one at home, which I'm saving long term because it is an amazing whiskey. As I said the other week, do have a little look at the review if you haven't seen it already. But ultimately, these bottles, again, they're just being flipped around. We look at the Genesis, RRP of £495. It sold for £4,800 in auction later the month that it was released. January 2020, where is it? £1,350. Now, still, you are making a good return if you sell it now. However, the price has dropped significantly, a quarter of what it was selling for nearly. It's just not going to happen. So, my prediction with the Macallan Folio 5 is that next month, February, the bottles will be selling for between £600 and £800. They will not reach the £900 marker again. If you are looking at selling it for that, you're mad. By March, I predict that it will be between £260 and £400. And by April auctions, I do predict that you will be losing money on this because everyone who has bought one is looking to sell it. If you go on any sort of forum looking, at Macallans or whiskey in general, you are swamped with people who are trying to sell this. £800-900, and people are taking the piss. It's ridiculous. It is not worth that much money. Let's face it, it's a 43% whiskey. It's a non-age statement that we know nothing about. It is Macallan, it's a natural colour, and it is a beautiful natural colour. You know, I have no doubt that it is a wonderful whiskey, and probably worth the £260 that you paid for it, I might add. Especially when it comes with this. You know, it is more than a bottle of whiskey. It's a whole experience and a look at the brand, where it's come from, where it's going. I love it. That's why I'm collecting it. But if you've bought this purely as an investment, you've probably been misled. I would sell it for anything £260 upwards. If you can get more, happy days, let me know. If you think I'm wrong, please do let me know. But my prediction is by April, you'll be able to pick these up for less than they retailed at. Now, with all of that said, I am, the reason I'm giving you this information, the reason we're doing this episode is because I am concerned about the whiskey investment market as a whole. I've had many conversations over Facebook and people commenting on some of our videos. Whiskey is a commodity. Yes, it is a commodity, but so are potatoes. So is gold, so are houses, so is anything. Anything is a commodity if you know how to make money out of it. that doesn't mean that you just pour your money into whiskey because the media is saying that things are going well. Because you see a bottle going for £800 to £900, well, of course I can make that money. Can you? Do you know people that you can definitely sell it to for that money? Because if you can, fantastic. But if you can't, you are a punter. You're not an investor. And I'm really cautious about the way the market is going. I tend not to work when it comes to bottles in investing. I buy bottles that I want to drink. Like I say, with the Macallan Easter Elkies, I was able to sell one very quickly to pay for the other one that I opened. So I essentially had a £750 bottle of whiskey for free. Now, obviously you can't argue that. Happy days. I invest in casks. I have clients who invest in casks. I work selling casks to the trade. And I do feel that casks do offer a more stable and long-term investment, also with certain tax benefits, which is fantastic. However, I am also worried about the way that the cask market is going, because in a similar way to misinformation being spread about bottles, there are a lot of companies out there looking to take advantage of the way the media is portraying whiskey at the moment. And essentially, they're cowboys. They're out in the rob. They're taking money out of your pocket, selling casks for more than they're worth. They're not actually explaining the way you can invest in a cask properly, different exit strategies to look at. And I don't want this to happen. You know, whiskey is a beautiful thing. It's to be enjoyed. Yes, if you can make money out of it, great. I make money out of it. It's my living. I've got my business is based around it. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just warning you, please be cautious. Do your research. The Scotch Whisky Association, I've been in contact with them recently. They're looking at releasing some more press now over the next month to warn people about cask investments because of what is going on. They're very aware. However, I don't think that they're doing enough personally. You know, this is an unregulated market. Essentially what you are dealing with is over-the-counter trades. And so whatever you're willing to pay for something is the price that you will pay for it. Anyway, that is my prediction on the Folio 5. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. I hope at least I've been able to share a little bit of information. Like I say, I don't think I know everything. I've been looking at the bottle market for the past 5 or 6 years. I've been investing in casks for the past 5 or so years. You know, by no stretch am I a professional, but at the same time, I do feel that there are a lot of investors out there who know nothing about the market and are just getting involved for the sake of it. My biggest concern with all of this is that ultimately real whiskey drinkers, people who are fanatics and, you know, want to know what this liquid inside this bottle tastes like, it's going to be ruined for them because of the flippers, because of these so-called investors. Like I said, it's everyone and their dog getting involved in the whiskey trade now. People have read all the media, they can see that there's money to be made, but at the same time, like, you can't expect so much money to be made. To buy something one day and sell it later that month for 3 times the value, 4 times the value, that's a big return. To just expect that because that's what you've seen happen elsewhere, like I say, you are seriously misinformed. And if this continues to happen, I do worry that true fanatics, true whiskey drinkers, the whole market is going to be spoiled for them. And the industry will take a hit because of that. You know, if people end up buying these bottles for £800 in auction with a view of flipping them because, oh, well, the price can only go up, it's Macallan. At the end of the day, people are going to be left holding a lot of rotten eggs. A lot of bad money is going to be invested. And like I say, it's the same as the cask market. If things continue to happen in this way, if people continue to take the piss and try and just tear too much out of it, it's going to end up in so much whiskey just sat on shelves, not being drunk. And that's not what whiskey is for. Whiskey is for enjoying. It is for, you know, sharing with friends, with family, with colleagues. You know, let's explore what's inside of these bottles. If you're a true collector, look, that's absolutely fine. Like I say, I'm not looking to open this up straight away, but I'm also not just looking at selling it like that for 3 times the amount. It's silly. It's not feasible. It's not sustainable, more importantly. And you know, Macallan have priced this at £260 because that's what they think it's worth. It is a lot of money to spend on a bottle of whiskey. Like I say, it comes with a little bit more, but ultimately you're paying for the bottle of whiskey. If they thought it was worth £500, they'd sell it for £500. If they thought it was worth £900, they'd sell it for £900. It's £260 because that is the value within. If you want to pay more for it, good luck to you. And if you want to pay more for it and you want to drink it and you just can't find it anywhere else cheaper, fine. What I would suggest though Wait a couple of months. I promise you. And like I say, it is an opinion, so I can't really make the promise, but I am so confident that the price of this will fall drastically. Honestly, it's going to be like shit in an elevator. People are going to be so disappointed. If you've bought this in the Whiskey Hammer auction for 800, 900 quid with a view of flipping it, you're in trouble and you're in for a really, really harsh reality, to be honest with you. The value isn't there. And the money, the market isn't there. The market is supply and demand. The supply is second to none because, like I say, everyone who's bought one of these things is looking to sell them. If everyone's looking to sell them, who's going to be buying them? Ultimately, for me, I will probably look to buy a couple more of these in April, May. By the end of this year, you could probably pick these up for 180, 150 quid even. When it hits that price, I will probably look to buy a few more, add them to my collection, maybe open one up in the short term and keep one on the shelf. Happy days. But look, like I say, this is just one man's opinion. Let me know your opinion. Like I say, we don't make it, we don't take ourselves too seriously here. I know that this is a controversial topic. I love a good argument, but at the same time, when I say argument, I come from an Irish Catholic family. It was, always an argument over the table is a debate. Let's not get too stuck in. Let's not, be nasty to each other. The reason that we're doing this episode is really to sort of enlighten you on what's going on in the market. Like I say, there's too much misinformation. If you look at the facts, you look at the figures, look at when these bottles are being released and when they're then magically being sold at auction for crazy prices, you will see where the value truly lies. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I say, do let us know if you want us to do a podcast on investing. We'll look at bottles, we'll look at casks, we'll have people come in and have conversations with different individuals within the industry. Ultimately, I do think whiskey is a great investment, but you need to know what you are doing. And if I can offer even one person a bit of advice that goes towards helping them, fantastic, I've done my job. Anyway, have a great afternoon. We'll see you again soon.